Why would we give him any less than our all? In gratitude and thankfulness. This morning we're going to continue the sermon series that we've been in, Life Lessons from Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount. And so we're going to pick up where we left off last week. So we're in Matthew chapter 5, verse 27. Matthew chapter 5, verse 27 is where we're going to pick up this morning. But of course, we're going to need to back up just a little bit to help gain some text, to help us better understand that in the Sermon on the Mount. If you can remember, we began the Sermon on the Mount. It begins with the Beatitudes. These are general attitudes that Jesus starts off with in this general instruction about the best ways to live, both for now and for eternity. He says things like, blessed are the peacemakers, blessed are who know they need something more than have in and of themselves. That attitude carries itself out throughout the attitudes of the Spirit. Blessed are those who hunger and righteousness. And Jesus equate those who showing the way and communities that they're in, like salt. Things his audience, his Jewish audience, would have been the law. He started the authority to interpret the intent of the reading commentaries in your study by various but lust is something that can destroy us. As we look at lust this morning, Jesus talks about lust. He talks about adultery and lust this morning, not because he's a God who enjoys putting his thumb on us and seeing us squirm and seeing us be uncomfortable, but he talks about lust because Jesus knows better than any of us the best way for us to live, doesn't he? He wants to show us the best way to live, both now and for eternity. As we begin here, we see that Jesus uses the same pattern here that he did with his teaching about murder and anger in the previous paragraph. He does so also to make a similar point, and that is, unless your righteousness surpasses that of the scribes and Pharisees, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. Us to see and understand the rest of what he's going to say. One is that they were not good enough upon as the paragons of virtue and morality, but he was going to get into heaven, they were. Those are the kinds of people that got their lives under control. But you see, Jesus is trying to point out to us again and again and again that while external things matter, what matters is in minds. Jesus doesn't just other things. Begs the questions that can't get in, who can? In the end, on the Father, his Son, gift of the wants to show us the right way to live. Lust and adultery are actually a huge theme throughout the Old Testament. In fact, in the Old Testament, the way that God often talks about lust and adultery, chosen people Israel. Again and again and again, God describes, I've shared with you some references that you can look up for your own there. Again and again and again, God grieves the fact that Israel chooses not to follow his commands, chooses not to be faithful to him, chooses to pursue other gods. The most vivid example of that is in the book of Hosea, when God calls the prophet Hosea to actually marry a prostitute, right? And he tells him up front that she's going to be unfaithful. And again, she's unfaithful. She even runs away, in fact, to go and buy her back and to bring her back, to continue to love her as his wife. It's a symbol of God's love for his people, how God even is calling us back to himself. How much God is grieved that aren't our... God designed us with himself, and when it's always we know this already, don't we see that? Some research lately, cut the cable cord. Does what you see on TV interfere with the way that you think in your mind? Maybe you need to seriously consider what it might take for you to cut lust out of your life. Do you need to invest in internet accountability apps? I use both of those things, by the way. If you're not sure how to make that happen, I can make it happen. Some of partner, are you humble enough to to be able to ask someone else that you need help staying accountable, help you be honest with yourself. Jesus says, oh, my life is so hard. Oh, I have this incredible... There are several people in this room that are probably seriously struggling with lust in their life in one form or another. And it's a secret sin, right? Because it happens here. Along with struggling with the sin of lust can come a lot of guilt and shame, trying to hide it from other people, trying to keep it under control. Friends, we need to give those things to Jesus. Jesus already knows about it. Jesus already knows that we need help. This water might temporarily satisfy permanently. Amen? Come to Jesus. Give him whatever those things are that you're struggling with. Give him and trust those things that are deep down in your heart. Engage your community, whether it or other points of contact that you have and society. Our society is desperate for answers in Jesus and joy and peace that we never even knew was possible. God, some of us have messed up and might be considered big ways, and others in the secret places of our hearts have been unfaithful to you.